Look right there, at the bottom corner of the monitor. The decryption sequence just finished compiling. That final cluster of security protocols didn't just break, it completely dissolved. It's almost startling how quiet a major breakthrough is down here. No alarms screaming, no flashing red emergency beacons, just a tiny indicator light transitioning from amber to a steady pale violet. Mara's signature. The partition is now open, and the Onyx Core is streaming directly onto our local terminal screen. It's a massive file, but it doesn't look like standard corporate ledgers. It reads like a tapestry. When you scroll through it, it's a chaotic mixture of fragmented personal journals, decrypted audio logs from the early construction of the lower tiers, and architectural blueprints for safety valves that the city planners chose to weld shut decades ago. She didn't just steal data from the cartels, she recorded the buried consciousness of this entire metropolis. My terminal's cooling fan is starting to pitch upward, straining against the density of the file. It has that faint, hot silicone smell that always reminds me of late nights at the precinct, back when we used to burn through the midnight oil, trying to track down rogue signals in the industrial sectors. I haven't touched my badge in years, but sitting in the glow of the screen, the phantom weight of it on my chest still feels incredibly real. Look at this specific node right here. It's an encrypted audio log dated exactly 2 cycles before the neon ice incident. Let's play it at a low volume. Listen to the background layer. Beneath her voice, do you hear that rhythmic, metallic clinking? That wasn't a glitch in her transmitter. She was sitting in the automated transit stations, counting the frequency of the cargo trains moving materials up to the high-tier plazas. She was mapping the wealth of the upper city by listening to the vibrations in the tunnel walls. She was always observing the things people ignored. Everyone else was looking up at the massive holographic advertisements, mesmerized by the neon promises of a synthetic paradise, while she was looking down at the grease on the tracks, calculating exactly how much fuel it took to keep the illusion running. It makes you think about the nature of our environment. The tech cartels spent the last half-century convincing everyone that convenience was the ultimate form of freedom. They gave us neural implants, so we'd never have to wait for a download, and synthetic optical filters so we'd never have to look at a decaying brick wall. They turned reality into a perfectly curated, high-definition feed. But when you look closely at the architecture of the undergrid, you see the scaffolding. You see that the entire system relies on our collective agreement to forget what the ground feels like beneath the concrete. We've traded our capacity for patience for instant gratification, and we call it progress. But I look at you sitting there against the warm terminal housing, away from the network, and your breathing is slowed down to a perfectly natural, unoptimized rhythm. No data streams pushing your pulse rate up, no alerts demanding your immediate attention, just an organic engine idling in a quiet room. And the condensation on the overhead pipes is starting to pool, dripping down onto the rusted metal plating near the access ladder. Drip, drop. It's a steady cadence. If you listen closely, it doesn't sound random at all. It feels almost deliberate, like an old telegraph line sending a message in a dead language. Let the sound carry the weight of your thoughts for a moment. You don't need to analyze the code on the screen. I'm monitoring the data transfer. Your only responsibility right now is to let the tension drain out of your hands. Let your fingers uncurl. There is a sequence in the core called the lethal cache. I'm looking at the file sizes now. It's the data package she tried to hand over to me before the titanium shutters came down in the vault. If I execute this command, it will broadcast the true resource consumption metrics of the upper plazas to every public terminal in the city. The high-tier residents will see exactly how much power is being siphoned away from the life support systems of the lower levels just to keep their artificial gardens green. It would completely fracture the network. The cartels would go into an immediate lockdown. The security drones would flood the sub-routing trenches, and the fragile peace we've been living in would evaporate before dawn. I used to think my purpose was to enforce the law. Then I thought my purpose was to find Mara. But now, standing at the edge of the dark zone, with the match in my hand, I'm hesitating. If I destroy the illusion, do the people down here actually want the truth? Or are they just looking for a more comfortable way to accept the nightmare? I look at the state of this city, and I see a massive machine that feeds on our compliance. It rewards us for turning a blind eye to the rot, and it punishes us with isolation the moment we decide to turn our collars up and see the rain for what it really is. Mara chose to dissolve into the static rather than play her part in the script. She left this vault as a mirror, waiting for someone to finally be brave enough to look into it. The transfer status bar is hovering at 99% now. The terminal is emitting a very soft, rhythmic chime as the final data packets settle into our local drive. The room is growing colder as the external storm intensifies, the rain hammering against the ventilation seals with a deep, echoing rumble. The world outside is vast, loud, and completely indifferent to what happens in this corner of Sector 4. We have the key now. The Onyx Core is ours. But holding the truth in your hand is a very different thing from knowing what to do with it. The screen is starting to dim into power save mode, casting long, geometric shadows across the cold steel floor. The static is quiet. The perimeter remains undetected. Tell me, if you had the power to pull the plug on a beautiful lie, to force an entire civilization to look at the rust beneath their chrome, would you press the button? Or would you let them keep dreaming in the dark? Till next time.